Good night, ladies and gentlemen. An honor to meet you here. My name is Putu Septiari Yasa. Now, I will presentation about death penalty in Indonesia. Let's start it. What is the death penalty? According to Indonesia Dictionary, the death penalty is a sentence carried out by killing, shooting, hanging the guilty person. Does the death penalty still apply in Indonesia? Still, even in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, Indonesia has scored the highest death penalty in the last 6 years. The death penalty in Indonesia only applies to cases of premeditated murder, terrorism, and drug trafficking. Next. This video about Indonesia defines death penalty for drug crimes for Ministry of Region Affairs Indonesia Retno Lestari Pransari Marsudi is EP Evelyn. Let's watching.
Of course, there's a discussion about the pros and cons of the death penalty. So we will listen to the people. The recent poll that the government did is that 85% of the people remains pro the death penalty, considering the emergency situation that we are facing now.
So you would dismiss what the UN describes as not the most serious of crimes, drug trafficking offences?
It's not dismissed because if we talk about the human right, you have also to consider the human right from the different angle, about the victim of the drug trafficking, the drug abuse. If we talk about that 4.5 million person are undergoing rehabilitation, then count how many parents that encounter sadness during their life because of their children is facing this drug use. So what about the future of these children? What about the future of Indonesian young
But
generation?
why is it so draconian, death by firing squad?
Again, it remains in our positive law.
There's a British woman on death row, Lindsay Sandiford, for drug smuggling. Will the president pardon her?
Again, what we are doing is, of course, all will follow the legal process. And I would like to assure you that all the defendant legal right will be fully respected.
Jakarta experienced a terrorist attack in January. And of course, Europe, as you know, has suffered the same very similar attacks in Paris and Brussels most recently. Would you say Europe, Indonesia is a partner with Europe when it comes to tackling Islamic radicalism?
There are many things that Indonesia can share with any country in the world about how Islam and democracy can live together hands in hand.
But Islamic radicalism does remain a problem in Indonesia.
In every country, not only in Indonesia, in every country.
You currently have about 600 people who have gone to Syria to fight.
Okay, if you use the figure of 600, while some others use the figure of less than 400, but you mentioned about 600. So let us put the 600 compared with 252 million Indonesian population. Then it shows how small percentage the FTF compared to the Indonesian population. So it's very minor, and once again I would like to mention it again, that our Muslim brother and sister in Indonesia, they are the guardian of pluralism and tolerance.
So what is it? You say that the number of 600 is minor compared to your population. What is it then that European nations are unable to do or aren't grasping the way that Indonesia is?
We adopted what we call the comprehensive approach in dealing with radicalism, extremism. So first is, of course, hard power approach is there. That's related to the law enforcement, of course. And then the second one, that it is very important, and not all countries have it, that is the soft power approach. The soft power approach means that we use the cultural approach the religious approach.
This week in Indonesia, there have been meetings held for a process of truth and reconciliation for the 1965 massacre when 500,000 people were killed. Why now? What's prompted this?
Yesterday, there is a meeting in Jakarta. We inviting all the components of the nation to discuss about what's actually happening in 1965. Again, Indonesia is a democratic country. So we always consult with the people. What is the people wants? And from the yesterday, I think yesterday meeting is very good because almost all elements of the nation were there to discuss the history. And the path of reconciliation is highly recommended.
Why is an apology being ruled out?
Look, sometimes when we visit history, sometimes we have to see also that this kind of situation emerges not in a vacuum situation. That is what I would like to see.
Minister, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Amnesty data records that throughout 2018, 80 death sentences were imposed in Indonesia. Even in 2014, very few. There were only 6 death sentences. From year to year, this number jumped sharply. In 2015, 46 death sentences, followed by 60 new death sentences in 2016, then decreased in 2017 to 47.96 death sentences in Indonesia throughout 2019. 96 were sentenced to death throughout 2020, 83 of whom were convicted for use and the spread of illegal drugs. According to Yusman Hamid, Executive Director of Amnesty International Indonesia as part of the United Nations Human Rights Council and a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, Indonesia has responsibility for its commitment to abolish the death penalty. Indonesia has also ratified the Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhuman and Degrading Treatment or Punishment (CAT) through Law Number 5 of 1998, and the right to life is also protected in its national laws. Next. According to the Bazi, who defended the existence of the death penalty in Indonesia by saying that in Indonesia there is a special situation. The danger to disruption of public order in Indonesia is still enormous. Lawyer Hazawin Kalsuringa argues the capital punishment is a radical cleansing tool that can be used at any time of revolution. There are countries that have not abolished the death penalty, but the implementation has been reduced to such an extent as the United States. Between 1930 to 1934, there were 155 executions. Between 1961 to 1965, there were 26 executions. There are also countries that have abolished capital punishment such as the Netherlands, Germany, Italy, Portugal, Austria, Switzerland, and other Scandinavian countries. There are also countries that have abolished capital punishment but interested in such as Russia, the People's Republic of China, including the who still apply the death penalty to convicts who have committed serious crimes such as armed robbers, murderers, and rapists, as well as corruption. Next. In essence, Indonesia criminal procedural law does not differentiate the justice system between the different charges with the penalty. And almost provision in the criminal procedural law in Indonesia, the same standard to trial is granted to all defendants regardless the charges. There is still an issue on the implementation of fair trial principle in criminal case in Indonesia, especially toward a person who charged with death sentence. This is evident by number of death penalty cases in which issue on the ineffective access to legal aid or assistance, lack of proof, IT by the prosecutor, violence during the investigation process, and inconsistency between the decision made by the Supreme Court. The administrative issue in which the permissibility requirement is seen to be more prioritized compared to the material sort of the case is still apparent by the existence of several legislation by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court Circular Letter Number 7 of 2014 and other similar regulations is constituted an obstruction for society to access justice and has become a serious issue needs to be addressed. Several recommendations is available, namely, urges the government to review all the death sentence decisions to ensure the decision in accordance with the fair trial principle and universal principle of death penalty. 2. Urges the government to suspend the execution to all the death row inmates and the imposition of the death penalty while waiting for a new set of criminal procedural law the company with the fair trial principle. Alternatively, the government may accelerate the discussion of amendment to criminal procedure code to determine new standard for justice time, especially towards death row inmates. 3. Urges the Supreme Court to review Supreme Court Circular Letter Number 7 of 2014 that set limitations for justice seekers. Case review should be regular, more comprehensive. Next, conclusion. Even in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, Indonesia scored the highest death penalty in the last 6 years. Amnesty data records the the 80 death sentences were imposed in Indonesia. In 2015, 46 death sentences, followed by 16 new death sentences in 2016, then decreased in 2017 to 47.96 death sentences in Indonesia throughout 2019. Indonesia has also ratified the Covenant Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhuman, and Degrading Treatment or Punishment throughout Law Number 5 of 1998, and the right to the life is also protected in its national laws. There are countries that have not abolished the death penalty, but the implementation has been reduced to such an extent as the United States. Between 1930 to 1934, there were 155 executions. Between 1961 to 1865, there were 26 executions. According to the Basi, who defined the existence of the death penalty in Indonesia by saying that in Indonesia there is a special situation. The danger to disruption of public order in Indonesia is still enormous. In essence, Indonesian criminal procedural law does not differentiate the justice system between defendant that is charged with the penalty. There is still an issue on the implementation of fair trial principle in criminal case in Indonesia, especially toward a person who charged with it. Sentencing decision made by the Supreme Court urges the government to suspend the execution to all the death row inmates and the imposition of the penalty while waiting for a new set of criminal procedural law that company with the fair trial principle. Alternatively, the government may accelerate the discussion of amendment to criminal procedure code to determine new standard for justice system, especially toward the row inmates. If I have mistake, please forgive me, and thank you. Goodbye. See you in next video.